Well, I think the business case for gender equity has already been proven. However, in Water Corporation's case, I think the why behind gender equity is firmly embodied in our vision, Thrive 2035, which is for our people, our communities, and our state to thrive. We're a purpose-driven organisation delivering an essential service that supports human life right across the state. And I think that's a unifying purpose, and it's one of the things that makes Water Corporation a great place to work. It also attracts people to Water Corporation as it did me. So I really want to create an environment where everybody comes to work each day energised, contributing to doing meaningful work, but also operating in an inclusive team where they're rewarded and challenged, but also accepted for who they are and the contributions that they bring, and what I hope will be an increasingly diverse workforce. So really the business case for gender equity, it's at the heart of everything that we do. We need the diversity of perspectives and experience that reflects the diversity of the communities that we serve, so that we can partner with them to solve problems, to unlock innovation, and to make better decisions that deliver better outcomes for our customers. And when we do that, we all can thrive. Well, while I'm proud of the progress that we've made on our journey, I'd be the first to say that we still have a long way to go. But I think where we have got traction is where we've engaged our people in surfacing both the problems and the solutions, and also where we've partnered with external companies and groups. So I think what works at Water Corporation is starting the conversation internally and then bringing the outside in, and I think that really informs a better discussion and helps us all to learn and to grow as individuals and as an organisation. So in terms of what's worked, firstly, employee networks. We've created an employee network called Gender Balance for Better, which is all about creating advocacy and awareness and leading some educational workshops. And that certainly has engaged a number of really passionate people of all genders across the corporation. I've attended a couple of panel discussions, and I've certainly been inspired by those in terms of some of the actions that we are taking. The next one is flexible working. I think a work-life balance is a key value proposition, employee value proposition for Water Corporation, particularly in the current context where we're all engaged in a war for talent at the moment. So we've really focused a lot on embedding flexibility into everything that we do, be it working from home, compressed hours, part-time, and targeted at all genders. I think what's really been heartening for me is hearing the stories firsthand from people perhaps who have come back to work after having a baby or joined the Water Corporation that they wouldn't have otherwise done, only they feel that they can balance their home life and their professional life. So that's been great. And probably the third one then is as I mentioned, partnerships, and particularly targeted at building the pipeline of female talent coming into the Water Corporation. So just a recent one is we've partnered with the Wallich Foundation on a program called Deadly Sister Girls, which is targeted at providing paid employment experience, creating career entry and traineeships for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander high school girls. So that's been great. We need to do more in terms of those partnerships, particularly to attract female talent into the traditionally male-dominated parts of our workforce, which would be our trades and field-based roles. So certainly attracting females into apprentices and traineeships is something that we're focusing on. Well, I believe that every action actually has some impact in terms of starting the conversation and creating awareness around gender equity. But I think historically we've probably focused on women in leadership as the hero metric, if you will, which I think is really valid. And I think we absolutely cannot be what we cannot say. So I'm a firm believer in creating female role models in leadership. But I think what we probably didn't focus enough on was creating an inclusive and supportive environment for that to occur. And by that I mean we didn't work with all genders in the corporation to really unpack the why and have some of the courageous conversations around bias and breaking down those norms that we needed to. And that would include our existing leadership cohort, many of whom are males. So we really need them to be the allies for change as we progress on our gender equity journey. So we're working on that now. I don't believe that there's been one single unlock or aha moment for us, although I think if you talk to our employees, they would say that how we responded to COVID and pivoted to flexible working was a bit of a game changer. But I believe it's the long-term journey that we've been on, building an inclusive and supportive and psychologically safe culture that really is the bedrock upon which we build diversity and gender equity. I think unsurprisingly what we did see during COVID was our culture of genuine care for our customers and for each other coming out, and I think that was great in terms of building trust that really has enabled us now to go on and embrace different ways of working. So for example, we've now got a return to work program targeted at parents and carers and people who've taken a career break, and really what we're doing is supporting them coming back into the workplace and encouraging them to do so. I'll never forget one time I was invited to a morning tea for one of our female employees who had just been promoted to her first leadership position, and when I turned up it ended up being a dual celebration because the very next week she was going on maternity leave, and I just thought that was a real culture moment and an indicator that we are making real and lasting change. As I said, I think the culture has shifted and we still have a way to go, but I think we are focusing more on the why as we pursue our gender equity targets. Probably a good example of that is our gender pay gap. Back in 2015 it was over 11%, we've reduced that down to 4.7%, so we still have a way to go. But I think now we're focusing on female participation in the workforce at all levels. So within our new corporate objectives, we've set an objective of reflecting the diversity of the communities that we serve, but we will measure that on a regional basis. The other thing is we're steadily increasing the number of female leaders that we have in the business, so we're up at about 36% now, and we do want to get to parity. And in the past few months I've made 3 appointments to the executive team, and that really has helped boost female participation across our board and executive to more than 50% for the first time in the Water Corporation's history. And I can tell you that the diversity of experience and thought and mindset around both exec and board, it's great. I think it's just driving a richness in the decision making and the discussion that I really want all leaders at Water Corporation to experience. So what we want to do is continue to invest in development and leadership opportunities for our female talent, but at the same time invest in training and awareness for all genders at all levels on the bias that exists and how we break those roadblocks down that are getting in the way of gender equity. Well, for me, it's all about learning and growth. I try to be a learning CEO, and leading an organisation that's continually learning is really important to me. How I learn is by listening and engaging with people, be it our employees, our peers in the water industry, or other CEOs for gender equity. Along the way, I've had some challenging conversations, and I've certainly been challenged at the rate of progress that we're making, and I really welcome that because I think we need to keep this conversation very much live, and we need to be deliberate in the actions that we're taking, because I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of inertia that needs to be overcome, not just in our organisation but in society more broadly. And I know that I'm in a privileged position to have both the obligation and the opportunity to make a difference in terms of gender equity. And I think the other key learning for me is just how invested I am professionally and personally in making a difference in gender diversity, gender equity and diversity more broadly. And for me, I really want to make a difference for future generations, and of course that includes my own children.